Hello everyone, Katsura here speaking, internet's busiest anime nerd. And yeah, on my screen here, this Medaka Kuroiwa is impervious to my charms. It's not good. Yeah, we have a new anime to come out of winter 2025 by SynergySP Studios, which is a studio that I don't think a lot of people may have heard about as of late. But if you're not familiar with their work, let me give you a little refresher. So, SynergySP, they're known for these big shows here in a nutshell, many of which I'm pretty sure none of y'all have heard about. But I think the one show that definitely sticks out as like you definitely have heard about a couple years ago was this little show right here called A Couple of Cuckoos, which, to put it in a nutshell, A Couple of Cuckoos was a pretty good, pretty decent attempt at like a fun, bad, slice of life comedy anime show that I actually liked and enjoyed, and it had a lot of really good comedic moments, but also some really serious moments that touched down on a lot of the key characters here. And the fact that it was even backed up with Shin A Animation Studios, which is really well known for the Takagi-san teasing anime that people should know about, really says a lot. So, given their reputation, given that Couple Cuckoos was pretty good, Synergy SP had a lot going for itself. Of course, I was not expecting them to surprise me with giving a season two of Girlfriend, which is again to this day one of the most annoying and really just one of the worst slice of life comedy animes I've seen over the past 5 years from the first season. Again, didn't give season two a shot because I didn't want to torture myself with how abysmal season one was. But leaving that on the side, of course, I went into the Medaka Korean anime with some high hopes, high expectations, and thinking that hey, given the premise, given the concept, it was going to be like another fun bad anime that was going to be passable, right? And I think it was going to stand out like a sore thumb. And the premise was pretty much there. You have a dude who essentially is impervious to Mona, the main character here, of all the typical charms, cliches, all the weird lewd moments to get the main character blushing, gushing blood on his nose, or being like ooga type of moment. And basically every time Mona tries to do her little charm and her song and dance, he's like, nah, not nah, homie, not this time. And the reason being is that he's trying to train to be the next head monk for his family. So that's basically the premise in a nutshell. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you and now say that after watching 9 episodes of the show, I sadly just could not get crazy about it as the series progressed. Because granted, the first 4 episodes, I will admit, had something interesting, had something cool, and some really good funny moments that really got me like, okay, this is like close to being like trashy bad. But then as the series progressed and we got into like the more recent episodes, it started getting stale, really repetitive to the point where it's like, hey, you're doing the same thing, but we've seen this done from the previous episodes prior, and it's just not switching it up a little bit. I don't know. Like, sure, granted, they have introduced some new girls into the mix that really had made it super commendable. Like Tomo got introduced recently. There's Asahi, Minami, and Tsubomi, who are the main girls fighting for our main guy here. But none of them are like really giving a lot of like characteristics to why we should care about them in the first place. Granted, there were some moments where maybe we got some heartfelt moments with Tsubomi and Mona and such, but I wasn't head over heels over this show with the characters. The comedic moments of the show also starts dipping as well because the whole premise is like, oh, I'm gonna try and charm you, and like, nah, you're not gonna charm me this time. It gets old real fast, and unfortunately, it just cannot like change up or switch it up to make it more interesting, more funny, more zany. And I gotta say, this show here, this type of premise was not tackled. This is the first time the premise of the show was tackled. If anyone remembered this 2023 show, Temple, this show kind of has that same similar concept, but this one's like 20 times worse because you have some of the worst voice acting out there, some of the worst animation you'll find. But in retrospect, the premise of Temple show was about a dude who's trying to train as a monk, and in order to train as a monk, he has to be surrounded by all these busty, beautiful women to get the trained senses going and whatnot. And that's pretty much what you get with this show. But now imagine Temple, but in a high school setting, or I think a middle school setting in this case. It's really, really boring and abysmal. So again, while I don't hate this show. I don't think it's the worst anime of the year. I just think it's become the most boring show to come out of winter 2025, unfortunately. And like I said, it wasn't that long ago. If you remembered, I dropped another show not that long ago from this season with the I'm Getting Married to a Girl I Hate in My Class, because this show had had again a really nice, really cool concept, but it became super stale, really old, real fast. And I think that's the issue with a lot of these slice of life comedy anime shows that's been coming out and pumping out like it is with the isekai genre, where they're taking the same typical cliche premise over and over again, but not switching it up, and they're not giving a lot of bang for your buck. And unfortunately, this show just falls in that category. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, I'm kind of settled like what I feel about the show, how I feel about it. But let it be known, I'm not gonna drop this show yet. I'm still gonna watch the rest of the show all the way through, and who knows, maybe I might make an update to see if the show really did impress me. But as of right now, I think the show's just going the same direction that it's going, and the ending of the show, I think it's going to be the most predictable ending out there, where it kind of leaves a lot to be desired, and now there's like a new step towards a new direction in the relationship between our two main protagonists here. And I don't know, I'm just not crazy about it, unfortunately. So once again, to preface, I'm not dropping this show, but this show is definitely not good. And if I had to rate just these 9 episodes alone, and probably how the rest of the episodes are gonna pan out from here, I would have to give Medaka Kuroiwa's Impervious My Charms like I would have to give it like a decent to strong 4. It's it's not good, but it's not like the worst thing I've seen. It's definitely more tolerable than the other show that I mentioned earlier, but I'm just not falling for it. I'm not crazy about it. This thing's not falling for my charms, unfortunately. So yeah, in a nutshell, Medaka Kuroiwa is improves to my charms. It's not good.